to make this better this time round. So if you guys enjoyed this little new song, we're gonna teach you guys how to about all the animations at the Disney World. That is what we're gonna do. We're gonna have fun.
Teaching you all about old and young. Old and young, Mike.
Like these two whippersnappers are fighting.
You enjoy the show. Do. Can enjoy this too. The old and young.
You guys enjoyed that? Hope that's smaller. Here's who played Duckling. Enjoy the video. Trying to make this better this time round. So if you guys enjoyed this little new song, we're gonna teach you guys how to about all the animations at the Disney World. That is what we're gonna do. We're gonna have fun.
Teaching you all about old and young. Old and young, Mike.
Like these two whippersnappers are fighting.
And all the ones who have passed away. Can enjoy this too. The old and young.
You guys enjoyed that? Hope that's smaller. Here's who played Duckling. Enjoy the video.
Alright, all you cool cats. Now back to the lecture. Now you know something?
Hi everyone, Martha here. So I've just watched 2 Disney cartoons that don't really have the Disney original characters. So this week I picked to do The Golden Touch, which is a King Midas story, and The Ugly Duckling, which is the Ugly Duckling story, of course. So I guess we're going to talk about fairy tales and a Greek mythology story. Let's start with the Greek mythology story. So, if you don't know the King Midas story, I got time for you to learn about it, which is a king of Greek who most likely is a fictional one. There might have been one, but and most likely he is a physical king. So of Greek, and he thinks that he should have he's very rich. He thinks he should have some more gold. He in some iterations he has a daughter. Not in this cartoon, he doesn't have a daughter that we know of. But in this one, this pretty much wants more gold, and he thinks that gold is everything. And so, in this version, Dionysus is called Goldie, and gives him the curse of the Golden Touch, because he doesn't know it yet. But pretty much having this touch of turning everything into gold is not a good thing. At first, Midas touches his cat, his poor kitty, in a tree, and he goes after some bird feed, a little bird feeder of water, and the birds are mildly mad about it. Turns fountain to gold, goes to his mirror and laughs about it. Oh yeah, he also turns a bunch of flowers into gold too. And he touches one of his teeth. Really, he's touching himself when he's talking to his reflection. So he should be turning himself into gold right there. But I guess we're not going to pay attention to that detail. I mean, he wouldn't learn his lesson. And when he finally goes to try to eat his meal, he realizes, even when he turns his first napkins into gold, but he did not realize that his teeth would turn stuff to gold, because it's still technically touching it. So now he's technically going to starve to death, because he can't eat it. And he goes back to the mirror, and I think this is supposed to be Dionysus, or maybe it's Xanatos. Maybe they are messing with him together, because Says, am I supposed to starve to death? And then all of a sudden we see like a skeleton nod to him. And then when he runs away, his shadow turns into, looks like the Grim Reaper represents this Greek mythology. I would say it's Thanatos. He goes inside of his vault and says, please, Goldie, take back take back the curse that you brought upon me. And Goldie said, and then take all my gold. I just want a hamburger. No, my possessions. So he pretty much does take all his possessions, except for the clothing on him, and take away his crown as well, and gives him a hamburger with onions. Now, the real story of this, I understand Disney kind of just made this child kid friendly, like they do with a lot of their stories that they make into shorts or movies. They do make it where it's okay for kids to watch. In the actual story, he turns his daughter into gold, and that's why he really wants to get turned in. Also, because the fact that he can't eat, he was starved to death, but he does accidentally turn his daughter into gold, and that's the reason why he goes to Dionysus, who I think turns him later on, makes him have donkey ears. Because I've heard this version where it's donkey ears. Midas does. So yeah, that's what that story is. This one, The Golden Touch was directed by Walt Disney himself. Story by Albert Herter. Starring Billy Elbster. If you don't know who that is, that's the original voice of Pete. Music by Frank Churchill. Animated by Norman Franston and Frank Moore. In March 22nd, 1935. So this is technically older than Snow White. This cartoon is. So the next one we're going to talk about is The Ugly Duckling. And this one is basically the story of Ugly Duckling, the poor swan that gets put into the wrong nest and gets tortured tortured for the first moments of his life. In some narrations, it's during its whole entire time as a gooseling, or you want to call it. If you want to call it baby goose, baby swan, baby swan. Swanley? I don't know. But when it thinks it's a duck, by the time it thinks it's a duck, since it thinks that these ducks are his mom and dad, because in this version, the dad's here. It's not really necessary for the dad to be here, and there's no dialogue in this one. It's just mostly Clarence Nance, the one who does the voice of Donald Duck, making quack noises. So yeah, the mother duck gives birth to 5 ducks, and the Ugly Duckling, who I think is technically, it's based off a couple things. It's based off of that old story where a fairy, a fairy switches your baby with a fake baby, and you basically wondering whatever happened to your real baby if you actually figure it out. That's what this one's, I think, Hunter Anderson got it from. And also the fact that he didn't actually have the easiest childhood himself. So it's kind of those two things put together. That's what I think he based Ugly Duckling on. And in this version, dad thinks that the mom did something with another bird, because it's hard to tell, but because by the way that he's quacking at her, it's like he's saying, "I accuse you of having an affair." So yeah, when the mom would say, "No, I did not do that," well, in quacks she is. So they eventually split up, the two of them, and the poor duckling does not know. The poor Ugly Duckling does not know what's going on. He just was born. It's not his fault, and so he tries to follow his mom that he thinks is his mom and his brothers and sisters, even though they don't want him, and they like do their quacking sounds. And when they hear the honk, because since it's a bigger bird, the sound is different. They tell him to go away. Eventually, he gets the idea that these guys don't want him, so he keeps on wandering around looking for a family that would want him. And eventually, he finds, I think, either sparrows or blue jays, calling for their mom to feed them, give them their worm. And he goes in there, and they actually don't mind him being in there, the little birds, but the mama bird does, and goes after him because he steals the worm from them and chases it back to the water. And there's like, I don't know, like a toy duck that's probably supposed to lure a fish on the pond or a lake. And eventually the ugly duckling does realize that this thing is a fake because it doesn't respond to him, just keeps on hitting him. And he keeps on wandering around. He like realizes that nobody wants him. Everybody keeps on rejecting him, basically. And then he finally, in this iteration, because usually in the ugly duckling it happens when he's an adult, when he's already a fully grown swan. But in this iteration, they let him find his family when he's still a baby, and a bunch of other baby swans spot him, and so does the mama swan, and they offered him to be part of his family. And the mama swan, like, he won't hug him because at first he's kind of lost trust in anybody of him ever thinking he's ever going to get love that he actually does deserve. And eventually he gets offered into a family that will love and cherish him. And then the duck family that rejected him at first sees him again, and sees that he's now happy and with the family that would actually want him. And he just turns at them and then turns away and then goes to be with his an actual loving family. So I do like this. I do like that one. There is other iterations I've seen of it. If you have noticed, if you watch this short, this is the page that is used to in Lilo's Stitch when Lilo tells him that's the ugly duckling. He finds his family because he knows and he figures out where he belongs. They use this. They put a page of this in Lilo and Stitch to have like a cameo in Lilo and Stitch. So it's pretty cool that they did that. They used it later on in Lilo and Stitch. So let's find out who made this one. So we got Jack Ketcher, who directed it. Clint Minos, based off of The Ugly Duckling by Hans Christian Andersen, and produced by Walt Disney, starring Clarence Nance, music by Albert Hanley, animated by Mintz Handler, Eric Lonson, Mintz Nut Nail, Stan Quantz Bush, Archie Robin, Paul Starlingfield, Riley Thompson, layout by David Filsman, and this one came out April 7th, 1939. So, like 2 years after Snow White was made. So it got an Oscar in 1940, looks like. That's cool. And right here it does say it did do a cameo of Lilo and Stitch. Let's see. The home media for this one is on December 4001. Washington, Walt Disney Treasures Silly Symphonies Historical Music Animation Classics is also included in the DVD release of United States, Germany, France, Italy, Sweden, and the United Kingdom. It's also available on Disney Plus with a restored Silly Symphony title card. Okay. So you can watch this on Disney Plus if you have it. And let me go back to talk about a little bit about King Midas, because apparently this is done a little bit, has a little bit cameos itself. It was gonna be Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but was deleted. They do mention him in Aladdin and the King of Thieves. He has a cameo in Mickey's Polar Team, and also I guess a cameo in The Legend of the Three Caballeros. Okay, so that's basically it. I'm not gonna do like a little skit like I do with, since none of the characters show up in this one, but yeah. Okay, I forgot to mention that technically they had used King Midas and other versions of Disney, like in Hercules, the cartoon series, since technically it's a Greek story, so they put him in there as one of the Greek people that Hercules meets when he's a teenager, a hero in training. And he's also in Once Upon a Time during the first season mostly. So he's not really in the other seasons, because he's mostly just used for David, who is Prince Charming, to have his daughter marry. He's supposed to marry King Midas' daughter, but he ends up being with Snow White, obviously, so that's how he's referenced. But it's not the same exact character. It's the same exact one, but it's not. They don't look the same, so they use different iterations of him. Like, it looks different. You see him in Once Upon a Time, it's an actual person playing him, and in Hercules, he's drawn differently. So I thought maybe I shouldn't mention it, but it's the same character, just done in a different way by the same exact company. Not the same exact people, because this is done like, well, pretty much different people, just different companies. So the same company. So I just wanted to bring that up. There. I hope you guys enjoy this. Like, favor, and subscribe. And bye bye.